What is up, guys? I'm the Senator, and today we're going to be looking at a Rainbow Six Siege operator that has sort of had a rocky start, but now is just a very viable operator that has a lot of potential. I'm going to be showing you why you need to be playing Nokk. And I know technically her name is Nokk, but I've been calling her Nokk since before she was released, and if I try to make a video where I call her Nokk the entire time, there's going to be a lot of outtakes, a lot of editing, I'm going to be frustrated, so we're just going to stick with the name Nokk. Okay, so Nokk was released almost a year ago, and she's been an operator that has sort of been shuffled into the burn pile of operators that don't see much playtime. She, like many operators, are played for a few weeks, and then most would go on to not touch her again. And it's kind of understandable as to why that happened. When Nokk was released, she was the first operator besides the Shield Ops to be released without an ACOG. And not only did she not have an ACOG, but she didn't even have a rifle. And that's supposed to be one of the biggest things that separate the attackers from the defenders. Since the nature of Siege involves the attackers advancing onto the defenders automatically have an advantage in this game. And having a high-powered rifle with an ACOG was one of those things that sort of leveled it out between them. And not to mention, she was released with a pretty mediocre SMG as a primary, and really the only redeeming quality of it was that it came with the new Vortex sight that just came out with Mozzie in the previous season. However, things have changed with her kit since her release in Operation Phantom Sight. With the addition of frag grenades and FMG buff and just spending more time with Nokk, I can confidently say that Nokk is one of the more underrated attackers, and I recommend that you start spending more time with her. And real quickly, before I forget, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon, that way you can be notified every time I post a video. Okay, so on your screen is the latest win delta chart, and this chart shows you both the pick rate of operators as well as the percentage of them winning a round. And the further to the right they are, the more often they're picked, and the higher up on the chart they are, the more they win. So you can see here that there seems to be a pretty large divide between the attacking operators. You have the haves and the have-nots. You have the operators that are picked almost every time, and then you have the operators who are picked less than 20% of the time. And you may notice that Nokk is the second least picked operator on defense, second only to Glaz. And when I first saw that, I was kind of shocked, but the more I thought about it, the more it kind of made sense why she wouldn't be one of the higher picked operators. Because you have operators that have a lot of utility, and you have operators who are primarily fragging operators. And Nokk honestly isn't the best for any of those categories. And it's probably more important to bring a Thermite and a Thatcher or a Nomad than it would be to bring a Nokk as far as utility goes. And for fragging, it probably makes more sense to bring a Buck, Ash, or Zofia over a Nokk. However, Nokk does have a lot of potential. Rainbow Six Siege is a game where whoever has the most information and whoever can deliver the most information effectively will gain the upper hand. And Nokk honestly is probably the only operator on the attacking side who's actually an information denier. I know you have operators who have primary gadgets who can help take away defensive information tools, like using IQ to take out Valkyrie cams or Zofia to get rid of an Evil Eye. However, with Nokk, just activating her ability can deny information. She's able to completely wipe her image from all cameras except for Mozzie drones and Yokai drones. But in those instances, you will get the white lines to go across the screen. But honestly, Echo is banned pretty much every round, and it's rare that I'm able to obtain information off of a Mozzie drone. And that's in my experience. It may be different for you, but just in my experience, it's rare that I'm able to get a lot of information from a Mozzie drone. And that is so powerful because her ability completely wipes her image to where you only know if she's running or going through barbed wire or hitting a goon mine. Where, at least with Vigil, you'll be able to see white lines on the camera. And so now I'm going to show you a clip that kind of shows how great and useful her ability really can be. And I used this clip in my last video, but it shows you just how powerful Nokk's ability can be. And so here I am going down the hallway on Theme Park when I get spotted. I immediately turn on my ability. So the enemies have a rough idea as to where I'm at, but they have no idea where I could be going. When I activated my ability, I could have ran into offices, I could have went into initiation, I could have went through Yellow Corridor, or I could have went back towards Cache. And if I was any other operator, they would know which direction I went into, and so at that point, the roamers could snuff me out and get me. But because I have this ability, they have no idea where I could have went. On their cameras, I was standing there, and immediately I was gone. So at this point, I turn around because I know I forgot to get that default cam, and I know that's what spotted me. But knowing that it's very possible that there could be someone on top of Dragon, I do keep my crosshairs at head level. And because of this, Wamai has no idea where I went. He comes around the corner, not expecting to be right in front of him, and I get the easy kill, take out the camera, I do a 180, and get the other roamer at the other end of the hallway. If I were any other operator, they would have known where I went, and Wamai would have been able to pre-fire the corner and probably killed me. Or the roamer who was at the yellow corridor would have been able to kill me. But one thing that clip doesn't show you is the ability for me to be silent when my ability is active, and that aided me so much in being able to get the jump on Wamai. If I were any other 2 armor operator, he would have known I was right in front of him. But since he couldn't hear me, he had no idea where I went, and he couldn't even get a single shot off. Had he been able to hear me, he could have pre-fired it and killed me before I even saw him. And that's a characteristic of Nokk that can be so important when it comes to the late game. When there's 30 seconds left and you have to make a push with 3 or 4 enemy players who are dead, who are on the cams, and the remaining defender is listening for audio cues, they will have no idea where Nokk is. And that's what makes Nokk so special. Every other attacking operator has the ability to be seen and heard. And honestly, the ability to not be heard is probably more important than the ability to not be seen. Because there are games when I don't have a Valk on my team or a Maestro and the attackers have already taken out a majority of the default cams. And in those instances, I'm not completely helpless. It's nice to have cams, but for me at least, I'm not freaking out when we don't have cams because I can still go off of audio cues. And when it comes to whenever I play, audio cues help me out a whole lot more than the cameras do because throughout the round, I'm not constantly checking cams. And audio cues are extremely helpful because if you can't see them, at least you can hear them. And you can typically have an idea of where the attackers are coming from, and you can use audio cues to know whether or not you're being pushed or not. And with Nokk, you just have no idea. And I can confidently say that a majority of the times that I'm killed by Nokk, they are instances where I had no idea where she was. She can't be seen or heard. And when you take that into account, the fact that she doesn't have a rifle or an ACOG matters a whole lot less. And since her FMG9 got like, I believe, a 3-point damage buff and the time to kill is quicker, and that thing is already insanely accurate and fast firing, that combined with her ability to not be seen or heard can be really, really strong. So while you probably won't rack up kills with her like you would with Ashe, and you won't really bring as much utility as maybe a Thatcher, Nokk is still a great operator that you should consider spending more time with. And with her recent buffs, she's more of a fragger than she's ever been before, considering that her FMG does more damage and now she has frag grenades. And she's an operator that is great for players who struggle on attack. The reason being because you really don't have to worry about being spotted or heard or being flanked because you've been spotted or heard. And this allows you to be somewhat more aggressive. I know that whenever I'm attacking, I'm constantly looking for cameras and trying to be silent as possible while moving throughout the map. Now, I'm not saying that if you play Nokk, you shouldn't be looking for cameras, but I am less worried about being spotted and I'm less worried about being heard by defenders. And really, at the end of the day, I see Nokk as an operator who uses the defender's false sense of security against them. Defenders know that they'll be able to hear attackers and they know that they can spot them on cameras, except for Nokk. And the defenders will never expect a Nokk. I mean, you should typically expect, an Ashe, a Thatcher, a Thermite, Nomad, those kind of operators. But you'll never expect Nokk to come. So, what do you think? Do you think Nokk is a strong operator, or does her not having a rifle or an ACOG as an attacker hinder her potential? Let me know down in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. And so, that about does it for today. Remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon. I'm the Senator, and as always, have a good one.